I know it should be a day when I start to do winter pictures because, well, that's the common knowledge or whatever, that when you are past the 4th of July, you should start doing your Christmas paintings for your greeting cards. I'm still stuck in summer. So this is a very, very simple, easy to paint picture. Don't let the appearance of detail fool you. This is easy. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. That kind of thing. Yes, this is a super easy one. So if you are ready to go, all I used in this one is watercolor paints. I used this kind of paint. Cotman, it's called Cotman by Winsor & Newton. I know that a lot of you are very professional painters, and you will call this, there's the box, and you will call this student grade. And you're right, it is student grade. But I'm just letting you know that this is a very easy painting. It's on a greeting card. The greeting card is by Strathmore. The only other thing I did use was gouache for the flowers. Those are all kind of just simply placed dots that look like flowers. And I did use gouache. If you don't know what gouache is, it's kind of like watercolor, but it's a little more opaque, and it'll cover the watercolor without, and I don't, you can mix it with water, or you can just use it straight out of the tube. Let me show you. This is what they look like. And I only use the yellow and the white. Well, I don't have the box, but those colors are, or those paints are made by Master's Touch. Again, it's considered student grade or not professional. Hey, it is what it is. All right, let me show you how I did this. I promise you. This is an easy one. This is a simple one, okay? I know you've been asking for simple and easy, so let's get to do it right now. So let's begin the painting, the watercolor painting. Begin it with some water. Yes, last night, Robin and I sat in our front yard in the chairs that we use for camping and we watched the fireworks, and there were lots of them. Not the professional kind, although the people who were exploding them probably paid a lot of money for them. So they were very nice, and some of them were very close. But it was nice that earlier in the evening it had rained, and so everything was kind of cool, even though it was the 4th of July in Florida. But the sun was down and the rain had just happened. Not too much early, maybe an hour earlier it stopped. I was wondering if it was going to stop in time for the people to set off their fireworks. And they did. They did not disappoint. But you could hear way more than you could see. There were so many people in the area that were blowing off fireworks. So in Florida we have a law that states that fireworks are illegal if they explode, unless you're using them to scare off birds from your farm. Isn't that funny? So a lot of people will sign the paper that basically tells a lie that you are setting off the fireworks to scare the birds off your farm. Now, what I just told you is not true on the 4th of July. Because on the 4th of July, the state of Florida says you can explode fireworks without having to sign that paper. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? There are 2 other days when the state of Florida says you can explode fireworks that explode. In other words, not just sparkle, but if they explode, make a big boom noise. There are 2 other days. You can do it on January 1st, which is, of course, New Year's Day, and December 31st, which is New Year's Eve. So there's only 3 days in the year in Florida where fireworks are legal, and they are the 4th of July, January 1st, and December 31st. And that's the whole story. But they were pretty to watch, you know. Very pretty. Now, what am I doing here? I'm just doing a green meadow. I am not thinking about it much. I'm just doing a green meadow. Put some yellows in there and some greens, and we'll just have some fun. One of the things, the feedback I get from these videos is to do things less complicated. Yesterday I did an eagle for the 4th of July, and I was kind of happy with it. And you guys sent me some nice notes, so thank you for that. But I understand the request to keep things simple, so I'm not going to promise. But I would venture to say, can I go out on a limb here with something? I would venture to say that something looks complex, but to be honest with you, I think everything I paint is relatively simple. Sometimes it takes a little more time, and sometimes they are a challenge, yes. But I don't think any of them are complex. You know, maybe they look complex. Yesterday's painting had, you know, a little bit of detail with the eye and with the feathers. But yes, I do understand. So I just wanted to go. So this is it's as basic as it gets: a blue sky and green grass. And I'm going to put some trees in here, of course, and some hills in the background. Not so sure how I want to do this exactly. I guess I'll just do a couple of different layers of hills and little rolling places. Kind of get the yellow and that green to work together. So I wanted to tell you something. 7 years ago, it was 2017, right? Yes. 7 years ago, I was still working at a radio station. I was still on the air, as they say. And I was eating an apple. I may have shared this with you before. I don't know, but I have news about my apple. So I was eating an apple, and one of the seeds in the apple was sprouting. It had a little tiny root coming out of it. So I took that little seed and I put it in a wet paper towel, and I think I put it in a jar or a cup. I think I put it in a cup, a coffee cup. Yeah, that's what I did. And the reason I couldn't remember, it's been so a while, but the reason I remembered it because I called it the coffee cup apple tree in the beginning. So the coffee cup was the place where the apple tree seed was growing in this tiny little wet paper towel, and it started growing, and then it produced roots, of course, and then leaves. So then I got a little tiny. Well, actually, I kept the cup, and instead of a paper towel, I put soil in there, dirt, and the apple tree seedling grew in that little pot, that little cup. I'm sorry, I'm distracting myself by the painting here. Yes, by the way, what I'm doing here, I mixed a little bit of red with the green to kind of make a muddy brown, trying to make the background trees here, or whatever's going on here. So anyway, the apple tree seedling grew in my cup, and then I started doing others. I started, every time I ate an apple, I would take a couple of seeds and I'd put them in wet paper towels and see if they would grow, and quite a few of them did. Now, we had a radio show, so I could kind of talk about it. I kept everybody up to date on these seedlings, and then I put them in pots, little tiny flower pots, and then I offered them to the listeners. I said, if you would like one, let me know, and I'll set it aside for you. And everybody wanted one. I didn't have enough for everybody, so they went very quick. Once they were gone, they were gone, but I kept one for myself. Well, that one that I kept is still here in my possession, but now it's 5.5 feet tall, and now it's 7 years old. Isn't that pretty amazing? And yesterday, for the first time ever, here's my news, for the first time ever, it has a blossom. Okay, let me show it to you. Let me show you the picture. There, that's the blossom right there. It's the first time it's had a blossom since I planted it. Isn't that something else? So, yeah, it's 5.5 feet tall now. I measured it yesterday just so I could brag about it. There's still a show on the same radio station by a lady who does a gardening show. And so I wanted, and she's got a Facebook page. So I put it on her Facebook page to show her, because she remembers it. She took one. She was one of the ones who took the seedlings, one of the seedlings. She said hers died, but mine's doing pretty good. I remember people coming in wanting it. Then I did a whole book. I did a book of illustrations, and I think I wrote a little story for each illustration. I think, if that's right. The book is called Guardians of the Apple Tree Seedlings. It's black and white. Let me show you that book. Here we go. There's that book. Guardians of the Apple Tree Seedlings. Yeah, and I did all the illustrations with pen and ink, and it was kind of a cool little project that I had going for myself. Try to let this dry. Get this really dark over here. And get some red and some green together to make it kind of dark down here. So I keep telling myself I have to start doing Christmas cards, or holiday cards, or winter cards, even though Florida doesn't have very cold and definitely doesn't have snow. I like to do cards that show snow, in the winter cards. I just don't know why I like to do that. I just feel like winter cards don't look like winter cards if they don't have snow in them. What do you think about that? So this is, by the way, I chose this one today because of the request to do a simple card, and I hope you will agree that it's pretty simple. So if I could just explain what I've done so far. I've used blue and green and yellow. I just kind of created 3 layers here. And the red that I added to the green is just to, what do you want to call it, to desaturate it so it's not so green. I'm going to try and do the same thing with this back hill here. Put that hill in the distance. I want it to be contrasted with the sky. Just bring some of these down. Keep some white spaces in there. Here we go. Just bring it all down. We'll connect them later on. So I have my first blossom on my apple tree, and now I'm wondering if I will actually have an apple. There's a lot of bees outside. We have a lot of bees this year, which I'm glad of. Because, there was this whole scary news that all the bees were going to be gone soon or something, and that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good at all. If the bees disappeared. Try to make a lot of little areas of grass here. I'm going to make sure we have lots of yellow flowers. That's why I made that background yellow, because I want that to look like so many yellow flowers that the whole spread looks yellow. Usually July 4th, for me anyway, marks the pinnacle of summer. I think the hottest month here in Florida is August. I'm not sure. It just seems like it's maybe you know what it is. It's probably you get so tired of the heat after a while. Yeah, you do. You get tired of it. I know. If you don't live here, you have maybe you don't quite get why people who live in Florida sometimes get tired of the heat, but yes, we do. I know if I was living in a cold place, I'd be tired of the cold too. I think I'd rather be tired of the heat though, because at least with the heat, well, you can go outside, I guess, and I don't know. I was going to say with the cold, you really can't go outside, but yes, you can. You can get dressed warm. I lived in a cold place for my younger years. I lived in New York. It was not cold. It was just, I guess I call that a seasonal place. New York is a seasonal place. It's cold in the winter, warm in the summer. So yeah. I'm amazed sometimes of where you all live, because I never imagined that I'd be talking to people in Australia or in Germany, in the Netherlands. What is life like for you? It's hopefully nice. Hopefully you can paint. Why is it that we like to paint, huh? That's the hardest question. The hardest question is to answer why in anything. Like when children ask what, like what is that? Well, you can answer that. You can ask who, and you say, oh, that's an easy one. I know who that is. And you say when. Oh, I know when, or I can look it up. But when the child asks why or how might be the second hardest question to answer. But the hardest question is why? Why does the grass grow? Why is the grass green? Why are the winters cold? Why does the moon change phases? Not scientifically why, but maybe the other why is impossible to answer, like why did God make that happen? Why didn't he just keep the moon bright all the time? And then there's, of course, the people who don't agree that there's a God. It's a disagreement I have with a lot of people. I think there is a God. Do I know all the answers? Do I know all the whys? The answers to all of the questions that would start with the word why? No, I don't know those answers. No, I don't. I don't even know the answers to the why questions about my own self. Why do you paint? I guess I could try to answer that question. Why do you make videos of yourself painting? Well, I started this because people would ask me. People would ask me if I gave classes, what would happen. If I gave lessons, and I would say, I'm not really a teacher. Well, can you show me? And then, of course, just make a video and I'll watch it. That's kind of how it started, to be honest with you. But now, I just like doing them. Now I have discovered that you all are part of this whole experience I'm doing. I have no idea where this is going, this picture here, by the way. Jeez. Okay. I'll make a few darker areas. Not too wet, that's too wet. Let me just get like a dry brush look. It's still too wet. And put some spaces between the grass and maybe some areas there. I'm going to need some dark up here too eventually. So this, right now, what I'm doing is trying to fix a mistake because I got the brush too wet. But I'm trying to put the dark water in such a way that it becomes negative space. That's what I'm trying to do, fill in the negative space so that the grass looks like it's got a little bit of shadow going on here. Boy, the brush stays wet, doesn't it, for a long time. There we go. It's starting to spread out. I'm going to put some over here. Again, make sure I have some negative space over here too. Keep some of these areas, some of these vertical lines. Kind of make a growth, a little bit of growth here, like the trees are growing up here. Keep some of these up here. Spread them out a little bit. Some of you have commented on this brush, by the way. I don't know the name of the brush. There's nothing printed on it. If there was, it rubbed off a long time ago. It's just a flat brush, and yes, your observation is correct. I seem to use it a lot. I think I use it on every painting. And thus my theory that you don't have to have a lot of brushes. Even on the digital art, I really only use a few of the digital brushes that are provided, you know. Let me get some of these green colors in here. Some of these yellows. Well, that doesn't look yellow, does it? Come on, let's get some yellow in there. There we go. Let's start to look yellow. Yellow, yellow, come on. Come on, yellow. Get onto the brush. Did you ever hear that Bob Dylan took his name from Dylan Thomas? Because his real name is Robert Zimmerman, you know. Well, I just read something because I was looking at a poem by Dylan Thomas for this video here. And it turns out that Bob Dylan did not take his name from Dylan Thomas. And I always thought that was what happened there. I'm trying to get this. So I got so much dark green on the brush that when I mix the yellow in there, it kind of gives it a nice, almost like it's being lit from the sun look, which is what I want. I want it to look like it's being lit from the sun. I don't want it to be all silhouetted. I want some dark shadows at the base, but not necessarily silhouetted. Silhouetted, is that a word? The past tense of silhouette. If silhouette was a verb. I'll let you figure it out. I don't know. That's my answer to a lot of kids. When children ask questions, I'll say, I'll let you figure it out. Maybe that's a good answer to the why. Why? Why is the moon this way? Why is the sun this way? Why is that man so angry all the time? Why are fireworks so loud? There's a good one. Why are fireworks so loud? I guess you could answer that one. Oh, because they explode. Does everything that explodes make a loud sound? No. Well, sometimes my heart explodes with joy, and it makes no sound at all. Sometimes. Okay, let's put some trees over here. Those trees look pretty cool over there. Yes, they do. Alright, let's put some over here now. Maybe a couple over here. Maybe some on the lower. It's still wet up here, so it might spread. Yes, it's spreading. Well, let's go ahead and get some of that yellow in there. That yellow, 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 green. That spread a little bit. It's kind of wet to work, so we might let it dry. I might take the time to read one of those poems from Dylan Thomas. Or just part of one. His poem. The one I found is kind of long. Alright, here we go. Keep. Well, that one right there is definitely needs to be fixed. That looks nice. Looks like a nice little hill and a bunch of trees in the background. Let's let that area dry right there. There's some more dark colors down here. Maybe I can even put some little blotches here and there. Make it not so even. Maybe even dappled light. Maybe even dappled light. So I am excited about my apple tree. I hope my apple tree produces an apple. They say, the people at the garden center, that apple trees don't do well in Florida, so if it produces any apples at all, then I'll be happy. In fact, I'm just happy that it's growing all these years. I always have this vision that one day I'm going to move and I'll take the apple tree with me. I wonder if that's possible. Because it's in a pot, believe it or not. Hey, that rhymed. It's in a pot, believe it or not. I put the apple tree in a pot. I put it in a pot, believe it or not. I don't know why she swallowed the fly. Remember that one? There wasn't a lady who swallowed a fly. That's the poem for today, maybe. There wasn't a lady. I can do that one by heart. There wasn't a lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. I guess she'll die. Oh, I don't know if that's a good poem anymore. Everybody's so sensitive with the things that we expose children to. I guess I understand. Well, what do you think about that? That looks pretty nice right there. Maybe just a couple little darker branches here. And when this dries, I can do the same thing over here. Or maybe I can do it now while it's still wet. Oh, do you hear the birds outside? Oh, do you hear them? I'm kind of liking the way this is looking. What do you think? All right, now my original idea was to put yellow flowers in the foreground here, so I think I'll do that. That's kind of why I was putting some dark areas down here, so I would have something to contrast it with. And then it'll lead back to the back where there are so many yellow flowers that it looks like a bed of yellow. Yeah, kind of like that. All right, now let's get... I'm going to use gouache because I think the gouache will give a nice, really rich color to it. And I'm going to use this one called Lemon Yellow. I might use more than one. So let me put some yellow on here. Well, let me put it in here. Let me put it in the little pan. I'll use that one, and you know what? I'm going to use this other one also. This yellow medium. A medium yellow. It's kind of orangish if you ask me. If I was going to describe it. And then we'll take the other brush that I seem to favor, which is this one. It's got a nice pointy tip on it. Let's go ahead and add some flowers here. Maybe even with petals. Just do the old daisy trick like when you were a kid. How do you paint a daisy? Just like that. Just put those little petals. There we go. Little daisies. I'm putting it on very thick so that it's very visible, and it's really not contrasting really well, but it's subtle, right? And I can probably accentuate some of this with some white gouache, so I'll do that too. Yeah, I want to make lots of little flowers here. So, and the closer they get to the front, the bigger they are. So real big petals right here. This little. Here's the biggest one right there. There's the biggest one. It's very impressionistic. It's not scientific at all. Yeah, like that. Now let's get lots of little ones toward the back. Make them smaller and smaller, so that when it gets to the very far, it becomes just a big bunch of yellow. And what it makes you want to do, it makes you want to walk through this field. Makes you want to take a stroll through the meadow. It's not a bad idea. Find a meadow someplace. I lived in a place where there was a town nearby called Meadow Brook. Now, isn't that a pretty name? It's a pretty visual. The Meadow Brook. You go into the meadow, and in the meadow there's a brook. Okay, I'm going to put little dots here into the darkness because I want these little flowers to be way in the distance, just making them their presence known. So in regarding the request to do a simple painting so that you can try to do it yourself, do you agree that this is a simple one? I mean, I don't even have a reference photo on this one. It was just, of course you've done so many paintings, you kind of know what a landscape looks like, and you kind of know what you've done in the past. You know what works, you know what doesn't work, So, sometimes you don't need a reference photo. Sometimes if you've done it enough, oh, I know what a meadow looks like. I know what a river looks like. I know how I've done them in the past. I know what works and what doesn't work. Right? Isn't that how it is? You do enough of them. What I don't know is what people were going to like. Oh, can I talk about that just for a second? Somebody wrote me yesterday and asked me if I feel like Fine Art America is a good place to sell art. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. First of all, the answer is yes. I mean, I don't work for them and they don't sponsor me, but they produce I just want to make sure you know that in advance, but they do produce a very nice product. I have ordered some cards from them, and cards is kind of what I mostly do. I have ordered some full-size prints also, and not many, but I have ordered some, and the ones I've ordered look really nice. Robin has ordered some also, and they do look super, super nice. So I will say they're good in that regard. As far as making money with them, I have had success, but I don't make a lot of money. I could not survive only on what I make there, but some people do. I know, I don't know the people, but I've watched videos from people who say they do. How about that? And they seem believable. I don't know. But I think the difference is that they have, well, first of all, they got large audiences. And so the larger your audience, the more people are going to know about your art. And then they're more likely to buy your art, I guess. But as you know, I started out this almost as a ministry, to just give cards away to people. I didn't call it a ministry at first, but so many people call it a ministry. The best thing I can compare it to, what I do, is that thing that the kids do called pebbling. I think I talked about this yesterday. Pebbling is like when you just send somebody a nice note. And the whole intent of sending somebody a nice note is to brighten their day, make their day. So I'm going to take a little bit of white. Now, this white, here's an interesting thing about this white. I do not know the difference. But the white I just used is called white. Can you see it? And the other white is called titanium white. I'm not sure I know the difference, but I'm going to use just the one called white and put a little bit of white on some of these. Maybe I'll even make a couple white daisies. Why not? I got enough yellow in the brush to kind of corrupt it. Oh, I like that. Ooh. I like the way that looks. Let me put some back here too. Yeah. Oh yeah. Not bad. Little white flowers, white and yellow flowers. Well, that wasn't the plan, but look how nice it looks. It really stands out. Really contrasts nicely with some of these dark areas. I'm telling you, this is an easy one. I could easily mess it up too, though. Let me put some more white in the background here. I hear a morning dove outside. So regarding how to sell the paintings, just promote. My best advice on how to sell your paintings: promote, 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 promote. Now, I don't promote any single painting, but I do promote my website where the prints are available. So the observation is that people go to the site and they buy the ones they like. I have told you this before, but if you didn't hear me, the ones that sell the most are the seascapes, the ones of the ocean, the ones of sunrises and sunsets on the ocean. Those are the ones that sell the most. I know it's a little bit frustrating because you do a painting like this one, for example, and you think it's going to sell well. And there's no telling what sells. It's hard for me to know. But I think if you put enough of them out there, and you experiment a little bit, and if you have a few successes, then you have a way to see, well, what does work? Some things work and some things don't work. All right, am I getting carried away here? I'm just having fun making flowers. All right, the only thing I want to do is I want to take another soft brush, and I just want to blend this blue here. I'm not happy with the way that dried. And I know what you're going to tell me. It's because it's student grade. And so everybody tells me, you have student grade paint. It's going to do that. I know. I am also a student. I am not a teacher. But I do appreciate you telling me these things, because I'm looking forward to one day when I get the professional watercolors and then I won't have that happening. Yeah, I just kind of softened it right there. Well, I think the painting is done. I think our meadow is ready to be walked in. So the poem from Dylan Thomas, I'll just read a little bit in the beginning. This is Fern Hill from Dylan Thomas. Now as I was young and easy under the apple boughs, about the lilting house and happy as the grass was green, the night above the dingle starry, time let me hail and climb, golden in the heydays of his eyes, and honored among wagons I was prince of the apple towns, and once below a time I'd lordly had the trees and leaves trail with daisies and barley down the rivers of the windfall light. That's the first verse from Fern Hill. All right, let me fold it now. Let's make it a card. Let's make it a card for somebody out there. There we go. Here's our card. Okay, hope you like it. I'll talk to you later.